Hi, I'm Rick, and in today's Talk Tonic session, I have with me Kirk Grogan from Tiphaus.
Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you being here today. Can you start by telling us just a little bit about Tiphaus?
Started as an automated software solution to solve restaurants' tipping problems. Managers had a lot of trouble. They were dealing with Excel sheets and static data, wasting a lot of time and not supporting the customers or their employees on the floor. And so what started as kind of a passion project for weekend work for one restaurant group in Seattle, they told a friend, and suddenly we had about 100 restaurants working with us in a few months. And that was when we realized it might be a company. And so we needed to leave our day jobs and go give this a real shot.
Excellent, excellent. Good story and good foundation. Tell me a little bit about the efficiency that Tiphaus brings a hospitality operator.
Sure thing. So our philosophy here is kind of set it and forget it with tips, where everyone knows their tip structure. And the problem is you have to calculate that every single day. You look at a checkout report, you plug in the hours worked and the total tips, who was working what your point system or your weighted average for distribution is. All of that is fairly redundant if you're able to get that into a system that brings in all of the time and attendance data and all the POS data. And that's, of course, what Tiphaus do. We bring both those in via an API. And so when you get started with us, what you're doing is you're setting up your tip structure that we want to pool tips on the floor and we want to tip 3% out to bartenders. Well, great. Once you know that once, now every single sale from there going forward, we can automate that entire process and never have your managers have to deal with fat fingering numbers or potential errors or fraud or anything of that nature. So just saving time and money there for the managers.
Cool. Yeah, it's very different than back in the old days. So, talking about the old days, right? At the end of a shift, people would print the reports, understand what the tips were, and then, if they were trying to do it manually right then and there, they'd have some calculations. But the other thing that I think about from those days is people got paid and went home from the restaurant that night with cash in pocket. So tell me a little bit about what you guys do to get the money into
Absolutely. No,
service.
that's the perfect question. So I started at Chili's, and I remember, the glory days when I was 18, I forgot it's my girlfriend's birthday coming up, right? And I can pick up a double on Sunday and walk out with $100, go take her out to dinner, whatever it is. That was by and large already trending downwards, right? Credit cards have really kind of started taking over. And then COVID was the final nail in the coffin there for cash, right? Where no one is carrying it anymore. All tips are going onto credit cards, and restaurants don't keep enough cash on hand anymore to be able to pay out at the end of the night. Our Earn Tip Access program was our solution to that. That's what we released, 2 different card programs that allow employees to get their tips, daily tip payouts, whatever that means for them, and whenever the restaurant wants to pay out. And really the solution there was we were calculating tips for so long for so many of these restaurants. We're able to give them a nice clean export for payroll saying, here's how much you owe each staff member. And they kind of came back to us and said, hey guys, why don't you just pay them? Like, you're doing all the work to tell us how much we owe them, but we still have to get it onto their paycheck. What if we looked at that instead of every 2 weeks on the paycheck, you guys brought into a market something that we could pay out daily? And so went and partnered with an FDIC insured bank here in the US, took a long year or so to make sure we got this product right, and then released it to the market. And it is by far our most popular feature now.
Can you tell me a little bit about how, like, the nuts and bolts of it? How does it work? If I'm the employee and I want to get my money, how does that work?
We offer 2 programs. House Money is our free banking program that we release to them. So it's a digital wallet that they're able to access at any time they want. It has a checking and savings account associated with it. And that is completely free to the restaurant and to the employee. And so they can set that up and access that at any moment as soon as their shift ends. Their manager has the ability then to make a payout. Generally, they'll wait until all employees have clocked out because tip pooling has an impact based on your coworkers. But there's also House Direct. We know a lot of these employees say, hey, I'm a career server. I've been at this. I've got a mortgage and a car payment and a phone bill already on my existing bank account. I don't want to open up a new checking account, anything of that nature. And so we can pay directly to their existing Bank of America, Wells Fargo, wherever they currently bank with, for a nominal fee on the daily transaction there.
And is that near real time to some degree?
It is. Generally 90 seconds or less from the moment the manager presses a payout button. They will kind of get a breakdown for them of, employee A, B, and C are owed $100 to $150 each. They will click initiate payout, and you should see that in your account in 90 seconds or less. Banks are pretty good about moving money pretty quickly, so I've not seen a time where that didn't happen yet.
Nice. Tell me about, from an operator standpoint. I'm thinking from the hospitality operator standpoint, I want happy employees. I want morale. I want people to want to work for me. When they bring somebody in their environment and explain how this process works with Tiphaus, I would assume that's a pretty positive effect for employees.
It absolutely is. And that's something, the greatest moment I can still remember, maybe 2 years ago, was an employee leaving one restaurant and going to another. They had left and joined on at a new restaurant, and they had demanded that that restaurant brings on Tiphaus because they wanted their money, they wanted the transparency. And so what we see is, ultimately we sell to restaurants, managers, ownership groups, but the employees of these restaurant groups are really who we're servicing. It's their money, it's their tips. They're ultimately the ones who will take issues with the management if things go wrong and they're not able to understand. And so what we've seen, Earned Tip Access program included, is roughly a 30% increase in tenure. And in today's world of the restaurant space, where turnover is costing $3,000-$4,000 per employee in lost productivity and training, HR, bringing everyone back up, it matters. If you can keep these employees happier, healthier on your staff for 30 to 40% longer, it's tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on your organization size.
That's excellent. Do you have any specific examples that you can cite regarding anything?
Absolutely.
Increase in revenue, time saved, those kind of things?
Sure can. So Ivor's, Pacific Northwest staple. I'm from Seattle, of course, and so famous fish and chips, all around the world. We get them everywhere we can. But they recently instituted Tiphaus and the Earned Tip Access program for their locations across Seattle, and they had a 30% increase just from the Tiphaus platform of bringing it on, offering that transparency, accepting tips where employees can understand and see what's going on that front. Another Hops and Drops up there has seen some fabulous results. And then, of course, we've got some right here in beautiful Chicago. Ballyhoo's Restaurant Group, we have a group there that saves an hour every single day. They have 10 locations, so they're looking at saving roughly 300 hours a month across their management time. And I don't have to do the math on their hourly. I mean, you can see the ROI pretty quickly with groups like that.
Yeah, that's something in the hospitality industry. I think it gets lost on people. There's a lot of time spent behind the scenes and in the office at the end of the night, where people can get home earlier as well, right?
Absolutely.
Get out of the restaurant.
And not contributing value, right? I mean, even when you look at managers that are salaried, wouldn't you rather have them out on the floor working and training your employees, or greeting customers and making them feel special, getting to understand things? Sitting in the back office at the end of those evenings is brutal, right? I mean, it's often late nights. Those managers want to get home. They have families. So anything we can do to make their lives easier as well, we're trying to always explore.
Sounds like Tiphaus is the future.
We're hoping so. We're hoping so, Rick.
I think it's excellent. The thing that you mentioned was it's not often that the network effect or the viral effect takes place with products in the hospitality industry. But when you have an existing employee that goes somewhere new or moves somewhere, and then they come in and they mention Tiphaus, that's pretty big.
Oh, it was powerful. I mean, as one of the co-founders of it, it was one of those eye-opening moments that we've got something here. We see it and we're growing. We've got some incredible customers and some world-class restaurants and hospitality industry leaders. But to hear that from an employee themselves was awesome. It really means that we're empowering their life, that they are seeing this as something that they will not work at a restaurant that doesn't give them some form of transparency and access to their tips.
Kirk, one thing I like to do is speculate where things are going in the hospitality industry. I do it all the time with point of sale. We touch a lot of integrations, but from your side, from the tipping side, where are things going? What's going to change?
Great question. A lot of discourse in the world right now about tip fatigue and things of that nature. And of course, I understand that when you're going out to external locations that aren't traditionally tipped. But from the restaurant industry, I think tips are going to be here for the long haul. When you ultimately look at the people that want it the most, it is the servers, right? Restaurants that try to get rid of tips and go kind of to a flat wage. You lose your best servers quickly because they know they can go make more money elsewhere. So I expect that to stick around despite all the discourse going on. And then finding additional ways to replace former cash-tipped industries. And I'm thinking valets, bellhops, room service, groups like that, where you used to have enough cash on hand to be able to tip. So we're introducing a QR tipping product. We're very excited about that. We've got a lot of interest. But more technology and more consolidation. And you see that, I mean, you've been in this industry around for the cyclical effect, right? That a lot of third parties expand, they get gobbled up and will be kind of consolidated. But that ultimately leaves room for new and innovative strategies. And so I think, Tonic POS and what they're doing is pretty cool. And I'm really excited to partner with you all on it.
I'm very excited for our integration. It's going to be a great thing. We've had people ask us about it. So your name's out there in the world already. So
thank you very much. Love it, Rick. I love it.
Well, thank you for joining us today here at NRA. It's been great to hang out and talk to you and talk Tonic.
I love it. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thanks. Appreciate it.